lecture of the surgery. In this lecture of the surgery, we are going to see the general management of the fracture or general treatment of the fracture. So there are two management. One is general management of the fracture in general plan for all the fractures, for the management of it, and treatment of the particular fracture will be the particular, isn't it? And that particular treatment will say along with the particular of fracture. But what is the general, overall, in general, the management of the fracture or the treatment of the fracture? The general treatment of the fracture is divided mainly in the three groups are there. One is a general management, general assessment and treatment. Second, treatment of fracture proper, and for rehabilitation. So the general management of the fracture is carried out under these three heads are there. One is general assessment and the treatment. Second, the treatment of the fracture proper, and third, the rehabilitation. So we'll see one by one these are there. First of all, the general assessment and its treatment. Now remember that whenever the case of the fractures comes to us, first we have to make the general assessment. You have to make the general assessment. Don't go directly for treating or dealing with the fracture. Many of the physicians, many of the doctors, they does the mistakes. They directly go to treat the fracture, directly approach the fracture. But instead of that, we must have first make the general assessment of the patient. So what is included in general assessment of the patient? That is number one, the assessment of cardiovascular functions, or we can say establishment of the cardiovascular assessment. Second, assessment of respiratory functions, and third, assessment of nutritional, or it is called the nutritional assessment. The first of all, assessment of the cardiovascular functions. So you have to carry out the assessment of the cardiovascular function, that is the assessment of the cardiac output, assessment of the cardiac activity, and it can be known by the pulse, yet exploration of the complications of the vascular injury. So why you have to make the assessment of the cardiovascular functions are there? As we have been seen in the previous lecture, one of the complications of the fracture is what? Shock, and this may be due to hypovolemia. So that's why, to avoid that, the death from the shock or patient may go in the complications, that we must assess cardiovascular function, either the cardiac output is proper or not. Sometimes what happens, there is the cardiovascular injury, there may be the vascular injury, and due to the vascular injury, there will be the loss of the blood. And due to the loss of the blood, there will be decreased cardiac output. And due to decreased cardiac output, this collapse of peripheral circulation, the patient will go into the shock and even death may occur. I will tell one example of the patient. One patient was there who has got the fracture of the femur, and he went to one hospital, Gramin hospital, rural hospital, that way, and consulted the doctor. The doctor said that he has got the fracture and you require the surgery for that, and you have to go for the higher station, and they refer the patient to the district places, to the Nanded from the Loha. When the patient went to the rural hospital, he was okay, he was talking with the doctor and he was stable. But when he left the rural hospital, when coming to the Nanded, when he enters in the district hospital, civil hospitals, and when came on the stretcher, suddenly he becomes unconscious. Until the doctor examining that he was no more. No more means what? He died. Death occurs. Why? Because due to the fracture of the femur, there was injury to the femoral artery, laceration of the femoral artery, and due to laceration of the femoral artery, there is loss of the blood, and that doctor of the rural hospital did not recognize this complication, and that's why there is loss of the blood. Until coming to the civil hospital, to the Nanded district level, there is too much loss of the blood, and which causes hypovolemia, decreased cardiac output, and the shock, and patient died due to that shock. You understood? To avoid that, you must assess the cardiac output, and you found that this can be assessed by pulse, and the radial pulse, popliteal pulse, tibial pulse, and from that you can assess it on that. Then, if required, cardiac output can be measured, or blood pressure can be measured. By measuring the blood pressure, you can also assess the cardiac output, and the cardiovascular functions are there. And if such thing is to be there, if suppose it is found that there is no pulsation, if the fracture of the upper limb is there, no radial pulse. If the fracture of the lower limb, as in that patient, what example I have given to you, so that doctor must have examined what? How to examine the popliteal artery. If the pulsation not there, that is weak or no pulsation, it indicating this is what? Laceration of the femoral artery. Do you understood? And if such thing is there, first of all, what we do? We must have arrest the bleeding, either by ligature or by emergency surgery for ligation of the artery, preventing the further blood loss. And if in case, if there is the decreased volume of the blood, hypovolemia is there, restoration of the volume should be carried out. Restoration of the cardiac output should be carried out. And after the restoration of the cardiac output and cardiac function, then you have to go for treating the fracture. Otherwise, till that starting or the completing the treatment of fracture, patient may die due to the hypovolemic shock. So that's why cardiac assessment should be done there. That's called cardiac assessment of the cardiovascular functions there. Sometimes you may require to draw the ECG. To do the ECG to know the heart condition, old patients are there. Then assessment of the respiratory functions. Similar to that of the cardiovascular, you must have assessed the respiratory functions. When the patient comes with the shock, either he is taking normal breathing, or having difficulty breathing, dyspnea, we must have to see the what? The saturation of the oxygen. If the saturation of the oxygen is there proper, 100%, or if the patient don't have dyspnea, then you can go for the further treatment. Or otherwise, if person have the dyspnea, saturation is low, then you have to search out why is it dyspnea, or why there is low saturation of the oxygen or decreased saturation of the oxygen. Then try to supply the oxygen and to try to be. In some cases of the chest injuries, we may require some tracheostomy also there, or assessment for the supplementation of oxygen. So that's why the respiratory assessment should be also carried out there. Because here patient will also die due to what? The asphyxia or the hypoxia. So first you have to make the respiratory assessment and take the proper care of the respiration. Then assessment of the nutrition. The assessment of the nutrition should be carried out in every case, not only in the fracture. Because the restoration of the health of the patient in any disease is not possible without the balanced nutrition or proper nutrition. That's why you have to assess the nutrition. Either patient have any deficiency, either calcium deficiency, protein deficiency, vitamin deficiency, or any other one. Particularly in case of the fracture, the calcium deficiency. If the person has the calcium deficiency, if you try to treat the fracture, the healing may not be occurs. Union may not occur. It may result in non-union. Non-union. In such cases, we need the supplementation of the oxygen. Calcium. You must supply the calcium. Is it? So that's why you must assess the nutrition. Even if the person have low hemoglobin, low concentration hemoglobin, for that you have to get a blood examination. If the patient is anemic, you have to correct the anemia. Then the union of the bone will be the faster one. So assessment of the nutrition, if you need deficiency found after the assessment of nutrition, then you must have correct that by what? Advising or supplementation of that nutrition. As I said, the calcium deficiency, particularly in case of fracture, you must have supply the calcium to the patient. Do you understand? So this is what the general assessment and treatment. Remember, before going to the treatment of fracture proper, you must have first make the general assessment and the treatment. If the patient will survive, then we can treat the fracture. Isn't it? So, this is the general assessment. B. Treatment of fracture proper. After making the general assessment and its treatment, when we make the patient stable, then you have to go for the treatment of the fracture. Before starting the treatment of the fracture, one thing you should remember that we must have defined the fracture. Define the fracture. Define the fracture means not the telling of the definition of the fracture. Define the fracture means you must have explained the which fracture is there. What type of the fracture is there? Define in one line. You must have to express that one. Means what? Suppose there is a fracture of what? Humerus. Supracondylar fracture of the humerus. So how will define that? Supracondylar traumatic fracture. Supracondylar traumatic fracture of the humerus with posterior dislocation. The other one, uncomplicated. Or if you have the complication, the complicated. Do you understood? In that either T or Y fracture, that whole of nature of the fracture, type of the fracture, site of the fracture, that first you have to explain or express, isn't it? And then you have to start the treatment. That is called defining the fracture. Defining the fracture. Do you understood? After defining the fracture, then you have to go for the further one, treatment. And what includes that? The treatment of fracture proper, it includes number one, reduction of fracture. Reduction of fracture. Second, immobilization. And third, medicinal treatment. Medicinal treatment. Medicinal treatment. So first of all, say reduction. After the defining the fracture, the first we have to carry out the reduction of the fracture. Reduction of fracture. Now the indication of the reduction. the reduction of the fracture is required in case of the displaced fracture. In case of displaced fracture, not in case of undisplaced fracture. If the fracture is undisplaced, then there is no requirement of the reduction of the fracture. In some cases, even there is displacement, the slight displacement, there is no need of the reduction. We will see while taking that particular fracture. But in general, the reduction is required in case of the displaced fracture, because as in classification we have been seen, on the basis of displacement we have been seen the fracture has been classified. The fractures are classified in two groups, undisplaced and displaced. In undisplaced fracture there is no need of the reduction of the fracture. In displaced fracture it requires the reduction. Now what do we mean by the reduction of the fracture? The reduction of the fracture means it is a process of the neutralization of the displacement which occurs at the time of fracture. Are you get? Are you got it? So what is the reduction? The reduction is a process of neutralization of the displacement of the fractured bone or the fracture end at the time of or after the fracture. Isn't it? Suppose, as you have seen, various types of displacements are there. One displacement, if there is an overlapping, this is displacement. We must have correct it, neutralize it. How to neutralize? By what? The applying the traction and bringing these two ends in the approximation. This process is called as a reduction. Do I got? Now the methods of the reduction are methods of reduction. There are various methods or reductions are there, isn't it? There are mainly two types of reductions. Mainly two types of reductions. One is closed reduction, and second is the open reduction. Open reduction. Closed reduction, open reduction. Now what do you mean by the closed reduction? The closed reduction means it is the type of reduction. It is the type of reduction where the reduction of the fracture is carried out without opening the site of fracture or without directly approaching to the site of fracture. Is called as the closed reductions. Closed reduction. Now, what are indications of the closed reductions? Indications. What indications are there? Number one, if fracture is closed wound. If the fracture is closed wound, or if there is a closed wound fracture. One indication. Second, if simple fracture. Simple fracture. Simple fracture. Simple fracture. Third, in single fracture. Fourth, in uncomplicated fracture. Uncomplicated fracture. Uncomplicated fracture. Isn't it? Now, the indications are what? One is, it is indicated in closed wound fracture, it is indicated in simple fracture, it is in a single fracture, or in case of the uncomplicated fracture. So that are the indications for the closed reduction. Now, advantage of this reduction? Advantages. Number one, the important advantage, foremost advantage is that there is no risk of infection. No risk of infection. Because it is closed wound already, isn't it? And there is no chances of the exogenous infection, only little chances of the endogenous infection are there. because you are not directly approaching to the site of fracture, not opening the wound. So there is a low risk or no risk of the infection is there. You can say low risk because the chance of the endogenous infection. There is no risk of the exogenous infection. That's one advantage. So first advantage is what? No risk of. No, or you can say low risk of infection. Infection. Second, time saving. Time saving means it can be done in the short time. Even it can be done in your OPD. Third, less expensive. Less expensive. Because it doesn't require any surgical process. So that's why it is a less expensive. It will be just like of the ideal cure. It is best for the ideal cure. The ideal cure is what? Rapid, gentle, and the permanent. Or the treatment should be low cost. Low cost. So here treatment is low cost, less expensive, rapid, time saving, and is gentle. There is no risk of the infection. So that is the advantage of the closed reduction. Do you understand? Then disadvantage. There will not be more disadvantages. Only one disadvantage is that it doesn't make direct approach to the fracture site, and there may be chance of what? Improper reduction. Improper reduction, and it doesn't carry out in case of the compound or the multiple fracture. So these are indications, advantages and disadvantages of the closed reduction of the fracture. Do you understand? Now you see the types of closed reduction.
5 minutes.
Types of closed reductions, or you can say methods. Methods of closed reductions. The closed reduction can be carried out by different methods. One is a closed manipulation. Closed manipulation. Closed manipulation. And second is the traction. Second is the traction. Closed manipulation and the traction. These are the two methods which are used for the closed reduction of the fracture. So these methods and the further one reduction will be discussed in the next lecture. The second part of the general management of the fracture. Hope that you understood the general management up to this one. Isn't it? First you have to make the general assessment, and then you have to go for the treatment of the fracture proper. And we have been starting with the reduction of the fracture. So remember till up to here the methods of closed reduction of the fractures. Isn't it? And further these methods, explanation about these methods and the open reduction and the immobilization and further management of the fracture proper we'll see in next part. Okay, thank you.